Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another Sunday Hope and Healing session. As I do each week, send forth peace and love. Hope that it reaches you wherever you need it to reach you, however you need it. However you need it to reach you. And we're here, as we are each week, offering love, encouragement, and actual healing that we do through a methodology referred to as Transcending the Matrix, which is a holistic approach to healing that addresses every aspect of a person's beingness. We also offer training, empowering other people to access the healing power for themselves, to utilize on themselves or other people. And so today is the first Sunday of December 7th. A special birthday shout out to my eldest nephew, Donovan. Happy natal day, Donovan. Also TTM initiate, Melanie. Happy natal day to you as well, Melanie, and former classmate former schoolmate who's actually the spouse of another schoolmate and TTM initiate. Andrea, happy natal day to you as well. And so today is, like I said, it's the first Sunday of the month. And so we started a couple months ago a series that we do the first Sunday of each month, dealing with making the most of the life and the body that you've been given. Making the most of the life, and the body that you've been given. I realized that was something that I needed to be more diligent in my own life, and I see how that is the case for other people too. And so today's focal point is December. It's Christmas time. For many who celebrate Christmas, it's a time of giving and receiving gifts. It's frequently thought of as a time of giving, but it's also a time of receiving. In order there are two sides of that coin, the giving and the receiving. And today's focal point is actually dealing with increasing your capacity to receive. Increasing your capacity to receive. Now, I could have made this focal point increasing your capacity to give. But frankly, the more capacity you have to receive, the more you're in a position to be able to give. So we will be addressing increasing your capacity to give next week. And also, if we're just going to keep it 100, a lot of times people feel a sense of deficiency respective to their receiving. Now, we do healing here on the Sunday Hope and Healing sessions, and much of today's session will be devoted to just that, healing regarding increasing our capacity to receive. And one of the things that we share is that even in terms of one's physical health or maladies that a person may be experiencing, even injuries that a person may be experiencing, where in the body that is can give some indication of what it is that's going on. And so, for instance, anything going on, whatever the issue is, whether it's a person's left kidney, left lung, left ankle, left shoulder, whatever it is, could deal in one way or another with blockages surrounding one's ability to receive or respective to the receiving. Now, there's some other things that it could be pointed to if there are issues on the left side of the body as well. Jennifer Bliss, good to see you in the space, sis. I hope that life is treating you well. But thank you, and bountiful, bright blessings and blessings to you as well. So yeah, where in the body a person is experiencing an issue could point to a person, how they're flowing as far as receiving is concerned. Again, if it's on the left side of the body. I'll save the right side of the body and giving for the first Sunday of next month, the first Sunday of 2026. Okay. Jennifer, hopefully we miss you too. And hopefully we'll see you for the Transcending the Matrix Level 2 class next weekend, the 13th and 14th. Okay. So how did this come about? That was recently, a couple things. Just in terms of self-observation. You know, a lot of times when you're on a spiritual journey, when you're on a journey of growth and development, there's a lot of introspection that needs to be done. Really studying yourself, paying attention to yourself, what motivates you to do or not do certain things in certain situations, the things that come up for you inside in given moments. And I had a situation actually not long ago, pretty recently, where my beloved wanted to do something nice for me. And my initial gut response, I don't know if it showed or not, but my initial gut response was a degree of resistance to it. Now I've moved past that and made room to receive the nice thing that she wanted to do, and I'm very thankful for that. But also, in doing self-healing, not long ago, actually, fairly recently, I was doing self-healing as I do, and as I believe all quote unquote healers, it's appropriate for them to do self-healing, or appropriate for us to do self-healing as a way of contributing to our own progress on our path. And so I was doing some healing, and one of the things that came up was respective to blockages as it relates to receiving. Now, I don't know how much you might be engaging your capacity to receive, or what kind of things you might have some type of blockages around as it relates to receiving. But again, this is part of the series on making the most of the life and the body you've been given. And in terms of specifically making the most of the life that you've been given, a lot of that, or at least to a degree, it has to do with how well we receive, how graciously we receive. Do you know that every single moment of every single day, God is seeking new and wonderful ways to bless you? Yes, that's facts. And we may receive some of them, and some of them, because of what might be going on inside of us, maybe it's our feeling of worthiness, maybe we're distracted by something and we're looking at something that we think on a surface level we want, but what God has in store is actually something much, much better. It could be a job, it could be a home, it could be a relationship, it could be any number of things. It could be an opportunity. And sometimes we have things that we think that we want, but there's actually something that is for us that's better than the thing that we think we want. And so we might put blockages up regarding receiving the thing that actually would serve our highest and best good and the highest and best good of everyone involved, because we think that we have the answers already. Okay. There may be situations where, some people have a hard time receiving a compliment. Some people have a hard time receiving a compliment. Sometimes people might have a hard time receiving feedback that isn't necessarily positive feedback, and may get on the defensive about it, about what information is being shared in a moment. People may have some blockages as it relates to receiving money, or as it relates to receiving care, or as it relates to receiving gifts. My paternal grandfather, to the frustration of my father and his siblings, every Christmas he he would be very non-receptive to his children giving them gifts. They wanted to give him something as an expression of their love for him, but he made it rather difficult on them, which was rather frustrating for my father and his siblings. You know, some blockages as it relates to receiving there as well. But anyway, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about this. We're going to actually get into the healing. And yes, giving and receiving, I want to acknowledge this. Giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. And I even want to further acknowledge, and we'll touch on this more next month, that the wealth of a person is not measured by how much they have, but by how much they're able to give. Okay. But again, we're focused today on doing healing to increase our capacity to receive. So I'm going to start with a prayer and we'll get right into the healing. Okay. All right. So if you would like to attach yourself to this healing, if you would like to increase your capacity to receive, whatever that is, whatever that means for you, or whatever area you may need to be able to receive more freely. Okay. Maybe some people push love away because they're not ready to receive that. You know, all kinds of things. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the prayer. If you feel like you would like to attune yourself and align yourself with this healing, there'll be a point where I'll encourage you to state your name. You can do that silently or out loud. And at that time, please do so. So God, thank you so much, as I know you, the source of all that is, the creator and the sustainer of life, the bestower of every good thing. And I know you to be a healer. And I'm thankful, grateful, and humbled for the opportunity to be able to serve in the capacity of demonstrating you as a healer on the behalf of whoever's stating their name. For the purpose of neutralizing and eliminating any blockages that we have relative to receiving that which is for our highest and best good. And from the point of the causal root in the entire energy field of every strand of DNA and every cell of each one of our bodies, and transmuting that into and replacing it with such a joyous, eager willingness to receive all the good that you have for us, all of the bountiful, bright blessings and blessings that you want to shower upon us, and that gives delight to those who want to give and pour into us, and that can bring such deep satisfaction for us to also be free to receive. Like children on Christmas morning. And I bear witness to our wholeness on this date and in this time and space called now. Thank you. Thank you for this gift of your divine love. It is done. It is done. It is done. Okay. So the first thing that came up, the question is asked by Jennifer Bliss: is being attuned to become a greater receiver too general? I won't say it's too general. Now, if there is a specific area where you want to receive better, you can certainly add that specificity. But I do believe that there is value, and one of the things that was stated in the prayer is receiving that which supports our highest and best good, receiving that which can be ultimately fulfilling for us. Okay. Yes, this is a general healing dealing with increasing our capacity to receive. And this whole concept was actually presented to my consciousness when I was back when I was still living in Detroit. This was years ago. Um, and I was part of an organization called Light Financial that actually sought to um, optimize, uh, in a way, one could say, financial freedom for those who were light workers, if you will. Okay, and one of the things that came up in my time with Light Financial was in terms of increasing our capacity to receive. Okay, in terms of increasing our capacity to receive, and that kind of came up respective to this and what it is that we're doing here today for today's Sunday Hope and Healing session. And so I want to look at the idea that it is more blessed to give than to receive, being interpreted as it's not blessed to receive. Yes, it's a blessing to give and to receive. And while it may be true that it's a greater blessing to give than to receive, it's important for somebody to give, somebody also has to receive. Okay, it's a two-way thing. All right. Again, God is ever endeavoring to pour blessings upon us. Right. Those who love us want to see us really profoundly blessed with all of the good that could possibly come our way. All right. And sometimes they want to be the ones through which that love and that bounty and that goodness is shared. It is a good feeling to be able to do something for someone that you love and they receive it in the spirit that you're giving it to them. And so receiving it is actually also giving them an opportunity to experience something that can be joyful and delightful for them as well. Okay. And so sometimes we can have blockages around receiving because we think that we're being generous by not receiving, but we might be subconsciously demonstrating a different type of selfishness if we have to always be the ones that are giving and we don't give someone else the opportunity to be able to be the giver as well. And so by increasing our capacity to receive or our openness to receive, we also simultaneously give someone else the gift and the blessing of being able to give in a way that would be meaningful for them. Okay. All right. Okay. So I want to, let's deal with these, these layers of subconscious selfishness that would have us wanting to give without receiving, or wanting to give and not really giving other people the opportunity to give. And also, let's increase our capacity to receive as a way of welcoming in the light of God's love into our own life or into our own respective lives. Okay. All right. That's really a key thing to receive, right? The light of God's love, that pure love and divine light, which is always available to us, that God is ever seeking to bestow upon us and pour into us because it's transformational, it's healing. Okay. All right. So, of course, worthiness is something that we need to address. And in terms of the worthiness, we want to transmute the feeling of being unworthy to feeling worthy, but not only to feel worthy, but to actually be able to humble ourselves enough to receive. I've seen many people who struggled with receiving that ended up in a situation where they were in crisis, either a health crisis or a financial crisis, where they got to a point where they really didn't have a whole lot of choice in terms of receiving, because they weren't able to do things for themselves in the way that they had been accustomed to. And so sometimes it requires a certain degree of humility, a certain degree of vulnerability to allow ourselves to receive, and to be able to do so graciously, not begrudgingly, but graciously. All right. Now, the fact of the matter is, we want to be able to be open to receive it before we get to the point where we have to, right? Okay. And so I want to strengthen us in terms of increasing our insight to see how and where we can be more gracious receivers. Because that's actually a thing, being a gracious receiver. You know, not a haughty receiver who has a sense of entitlement, and not a person with a sense of false pride that that might kind of push blessings away in some ways, but to be able to receive graciously, and to be in a flow state as far as receiving and giving is concerned. Okay. All right. I'm also going to share with you all, and I know I've shared this during Sunday Hope and Healing sessions in the past. Perhaps you were not there when it was shared before, and I'll share it again now. It's and I kind of modify it in different ways, but it's an affirmation that I got from a book by Catherine Ponder. I don't even recall the name of the book. I don't have a physical copy of the book. I had an audio copy of it years ago. And the affirmation goes something like this: I'm open to receive. I am receiving. I am receiving. And then whatever it is that you're wanting to receive, I am receiving such and such now. And frequently the way that I'll do it, we'll use love in this case. Love is something that we can all stand to receive well. Okay. Blessings are something we call stand to receive well. I'll do blessings actually. And I may start with I'm open to receive, or I may just go right into the I am receiving. But in this case, we'll start with the I'm open to receive. I'm open to receive. I'm open to receive blessings. I'm open to receive blessings now. Or I am receiving blessings. I am receiving blessings now. I'm receiving more and more of the bountiful, bright blessings that God is seeking to pour into me and pour through me now. Right? And the key isn't just saying the words, but as much as possible, getting into what Michael Beckwith refers to as the feeling tone of it. Really vibrating in alignment with the feeling of it being your reality. Okay. I'm receiving. I'm receiving love. I'm receiving love now. I'm receiving more and more of the love that God has for me. I am receiving. I'll start this one with I'm open to receive. I'm open to receive. I'm open to receiving wealth. I'm open to receiving wealth now. Or I am receiving wealth now. I'm receiving more and more of the wealth that God has available for me now. Sometimes we aren't able to give it to the total degree of what we have inside of us, because sometimes our giving is also tied to our receiving. And so we might hold back our giving because of whatever blockages we have going on with our receiving. Okay. I'm not telling you this something I'm just making up. I can tell you from my own lived experience where I can see that that's been the case. Okay. And so I want to actually strengthen our capacity to be able to self-observe when we're putting barriers up to our receiving, and delete the root cause of the perceived need to put those barriers up in the first place. Sometimes we might want to put those barriers up, might not want to receive certain things because of how we think that someone else will respond. Maybe we're wanting to be in a love-centered relationship with a significant other, but there are a lot of people in our circle who are not booed up, if you will. And we may have some concern of how it may impact those relationships or how they might perceive us. We might have, there's some people who the same is true financially, may become concerned with how other people will perceive them if you get a little bit more financially. Or another aspect of that can be fear of people running with their hands out if you end up being in a position to prosper. I remember years ago, living in Detroit, I used to, I had a 4x4. That was back when SUVs were 4x4s. I had a 4x4, and I would often find myself pushing people, using my car to help people get unstuck when they were stuck in the snow. And I remember consciously having this thought about, being in a position to get a nicer car, and that with a nicer car, I'd be less inclined to use my car to push somebody out of the snow. Well, I live in Florida now. We don't get snow down here, but I had to kind of overcome that thought and realize, if I was prospering enough, I could call a tow truck for somebody rather than just having to use my car to push. And there were certainly times I pushed, where I was outside of the car and helping to push somebody out of the snow. But that was a blockage that I had. You would have to really get into your own thought processes and, do an internal inventory of ways in which you had kind of excuses for why you shouldn't receive, okay, or barriers or blockages for why you shouldn't receive, okay. All right, so let's actually right now get to, I want to deal with the ancestral lineage, okay. All right, there may have been things that, those who came before you maybe had some blockages. Maybe they were financial, maybe it was as it related to relationships, maybe it was something else. But there were perhaps some blockages in terms of receiving. And so I want to look at how many ancestral issues might that have been, for all of us collectively. I'm looking at 2,900. So we're going to delete those, purify those, clear through the light of the Holy Spirit. Okay. And through how many folks in our ancestral line? And 17 is coming up. So we're going to clear that. Okay. So this healing is not only for us, but for those in our ancestral lineage as well, that they're benefiting from this healing retroactively. Okay. All right. That's looking better. Okay. And let's look at actually generations, that come behind us. That's not actually coming up as so strong of an issue as those who came before us. Now, as it relates to those who came before us, I also want to look at how we've been socialized. Okay, how we've been socialized in terms of programs, negative programming, and programming of limitations. Okay. All right. In terms of like the way there's maybe conversation, in your rearing, in your socialization, that dealt with a sense of lack. Okay. So we want to override that. We want to transmute that and override that and transmute it into a higher, more elevated teaching. A higher, more elevated teaching and a higher, more elevated perspective, while still having compassion for those who came before us, those who were our caregivers and our nurturers and our teachers, having compassion for them and recognizing they were doing the best they knew to do and teaching and demonstrating the best they knew to in that moment. Okay. All right. So want to strengthen us to actually be able to forgive them for their own limitations and forgive ourselves for the judgments that we've had towards them regarding their limitations and how those limitations may have shown up for us. How they may have shown up for us when we were younger, and how they may have even shown up to us up until the point of this healing right now. All right, to be able to have true, genuine compassion, genuine forgiveness, genuine acceptance, and a genuine ability to move on and move forward. I want to strengthen us in terms of that genuine ability to be able to move on and move forward. For some reason, this happened to me on a number of occasions. For some reason, I just had a vision of this scene in the movie Amistad, where Cinque, essentially said that I'll be fine, for the ancestors are with me. And in this moment, I'm the only reason they ever existed. So want to kind of take that mentality in terms of being able to receive the passing of the torch and progress to a place where those who came before us couldn't necessarily go to in our lifetime, but we actually are able to create a new legacy of freedom and being able to receive bountifully and graciously and lovingly. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Now, something else I want to look at right now is I want to look at judgments that we have about people who have things that we subconsciously want but push away. Okay. We might have attitudes towards people why does she have that man? What's so good about her to have him? Why does he have that job or that car or whatever it is? And all of the different little ways that jealousies might come up for us regarding those who have something that we feel like we want. Okay. The jealousy. I hope this isn't making a tremendous amount of noise. I'm just gonna sit right here. Hope that didn't make a tremendous amount of noise. Apologies for that. Okay, so I want to look at the jealousies, transmute the jealousy into gratitude that they're able to have what they have, and gratitude that that yours is coming to you as well. All right, whatever that is, but to be able to truly rest in the knowledge that what God has for you is for you. And the only one that can block what God has for you is, guess who? Guess who? The only one that can block what God has for you. Yep, it's you. The only one that can block what God has for you is you. And yet forgive yourself for the times that you blocked it in the past. And give yourself grace to receive it now. Removing any self-judgment and any self-loathing. And any animosity that you've had toward yourself in the past, as well as in the present and even in the future. We want to address that future stuff before it even comes up to get it resolved as well. Okay. All right. Now let's also, okay. Let's also, let's open up the heart center. Open up the heart center to be really, truly resonating and vibrating in a spirit of love. Yeah. Yeah. That love includes self-love. Okay. You know, when we're really loving ourselves fully and thoroughly, we make room for that which is good for us. All right. In other words, we increase our capacity to receive. All right. Okay. All right. So let's boost that up. Let's really boost that up. All right. That's delicious. Okay. And I want to also look at the collective consciousness of humanity as it relates to receiving. The collective consciousness of humanity, and certainly folks in the Western world, isn't so much about receiving as it is about getting. You get the distinction between getting and receiving? Okay. To receive is coming from a place of allowing a flow. Getting comes from a place of trying to control things. Okay. Trying to control things sometimes can come from a more self-centered kind of perspective. But receiving, when we're really truly receiving well, when we become masters at receiving, we realize it really isn't all about us, right? Remember when I was talking earlier about sometimes we always have to be the one giving. We don't give other people the opportunity to give. And that's a way of, really it's like I said earlier, it can come from a certain type of selfishness, although unintentionally. It can also be delivering a message that I'm better than you. Okay, and we don't want to do that either. Okay, we want to operate fully in a spirit of love. For our intentions to be loving and our awareness to be expansive enough to be able to recognize what it is that's really going on. And so to, in that process, be able to make room for other people to show up in a way that allows their light to shine too. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's look at I want to look at addressing any trauma regarding receiving things that we did not want. And maybe it was receiving negative attention, maybe some form of harassment or some form of abuse. Okay. And so because we have some negative associations with some of the things that we received or that came into our life experience that we did not like, we might sometimes put up some barriers or some blockages to our receiving, whether it's receiving compassion, whether it's receiving understanding, whether it's receiving warmth and love. Love is coming up again. So we want to strengthen that, strengthen our ability to receive love. Strengthen our ability to be a container where love can be poured in. Okay. A container where love can be poured in, and where love can be poured in to the point of all of the gook coming out. You know, I like to recycle like my glass and plastic stuff. And yesterday I made some chili, and some of the containers that I had, you know, I used up everything that was in there, right? Used some diced tomatoes, some different things. And so there was some tomato sauce that I used as well. And I emptied the jar, or used the last of what was remaining in the jar. And you know, if you like put water in, another one was hot sauce. If you put water and dish soap in a container and you try to shake it up, that's not really going to do the job well. What they say is to put whatever that thing is underneath the water and let the water pour through and let it just keep bubbling out. May it pour until it's at a point of running over, and let it continue to do that, and it will rinse out all of that stuff that is getting in the way or that needs to be cleaned out. Okay. And so I did that yesterday, and it was kind of cool seeing that stuff coming out. And the more we make room, the more we allow that love to pour into us, the more we allow ourselves to receive that goodness that's pouring in us, it can actually move out the other stuff, the stuff that was blocking the way, the gook, the dirt, the stuff that's actually not any good for us, that's not serving our highest and best good anymore, and get to a point where our cup is running over and we're leaving a drop of heaven behind wherever we go. Okay, that's what it's all about as we endeavor to enter into the sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. Because yes, the receiving is a part, and also the giving is a part too. But to be a vessel through which so much good pours into us and through us. Now, I mentioned earlier, you know, that affirmation, the way that I frequently do it is I frequently say, I am giving and receiving. I am giving and receiving, let's say in this case, added value. I'm giving and receiving added value now. I'm giving and receiving more and more of the added value that God would have to pour to me and flow through me, flow to me and flow through me now, right? And so that's where we really want to be. We want to be clear channels, clear vessels through which an abundance of good can be poured into us, and that we give from that point of running over. But to get to that point of running over, you know, it helps for us to be able to receive first. Okay. That doesn't mean wait to give until you're running over. You can still be giving. But again, the focus of this Sunday Hope and Healing session is on what? Increasing our capacity to receive. So that's what we'll focus on, what we'll continue focusing on today. All right. So we're going to do a couple more corrections, and then we'll close today's Sunday Hope and Healing session out. So one of the things that I want to focus on is places where we've been stuck in the past because we wanted something and we didn't get it. Okay. So I want to address that, clearing that out. Okay. Maybe we wanted understanding. Maybe we wanted a compliment. Maybe we wanted a certain gift, or maybe we wanted attention or affection from a specific person, whatever the case might be, where you wanted something and you didn't get it. You know, I know that in my own life, there have been times where I'd be very hesitant to ask anybody for anything. And if I got to a point of asking, it was because I really felt at that point that I really needed it. And I was humbling myself to ask. And if the answer was then no, you know, it felt not too cool, right? And so sometimes we might do that. We might get to a point of asking, and then when we ask, we don't get what it is that we were asking for, and that might cause us to have some resentments, might cause us to be hesitant about asking in the future. It might cause us to tell ourselves some stories about ourselves in terms of if we can receive, how much we're able to receive. You know, I know of a person, she's no longer sucking wind, but I know of a person who years and years ago said that maybe she got all the miracles that were available for her. Maybe she got all of the good things. Maybe she had run out of good stuff that could happen for her. And it was really sad to hear that. There's never a time where you've run out of the good stuff that can happen for you if you're open to receiving the good stuff. Okay. All right. So let's address those couple things that I mentioned earlier. Purifying through the power of pure love. All right. Okay. All right. Another thing that I want to address real quickly, and this will be the last thing that we'll do for today. And this thing that I want to address is, excuse me. This last thing that I want to address for today is realizing that our arms are too short to box with God. Okay. The idea that we're smarter than God on some level, that we all actually have that completely whack belief system that shows subconsciously, that shows up in different ways, different areas of our lives. Okay. So to like tone that down and replace it with an openness and an eagerness to see what it is that we don't know, that we don't already know. Okay, to make room for a truth that extends beyond that which we have held to previously. Okay. And let's actually strengthen our autonomous nervous system to relax into that truth. Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah. And turn on the all clear signal in the brain. Knowing that it's okay to receive. And the things that we receive are filtered through to be that which supports our highest and best good. God, thank you so much for this healing that's taken place on today, for strengthening us energetically, clearing up blockages, and empowering us to be more adept at being able to increase our capacity to receive and to receive freely that which you have for us, for our highest and best good. Thank you so much for these and all other blessings. All praise and all honor is due unto you. Ashe, and amen. Alrighty, beloved. I like that. Jennifer Bliss says, I'm a clear and open channel to give and receive the Most High God's overflowing abundance in all its forms with a grateful heart, mind, and spirit. Yes, I love that. I love that. Yeah. All righty, beloved. That pretty much closes us out for today. We will be tuning in briefly next week. We'll be in the midst of the Transcending the Matrix Level 2 class on mental and emotional healing, neurological upgrading, and brain optimization. So that's kind of a mouthful. But the Level 1 training deals with healing physical issues. The Level 2 training deals with mental and emotional health. Curly Conscious King, good to see you in the place as well, brother. Glad that you enjoyed today's session also. And so for all of us, as we continue to endeavor to enter into the sustainable state of supreme satisfaction, until we meet again, I bid you adieu with what? Peace and love. Catch you next time.